Can I ask you, Wayne, about your old boss, Jose Mourinho, being sacked from Spurs this morning? What is your view on that?
Um, I think it's crazy doing it before a cup final. It's strange timing anyway. Before a cup final, I'm sure they could have waited till after the cup final if that's what direction they wanted to go in. But Jose's a fantastic manager, one of the best managers I think the game's seen, and unfortunately his time's come to an end at Tottenham, but I'm sure he'll bounce back in. I'm sure there'll be a lot of top clubs out there looking to bring him in.
How hard do you think it will be for the players preparing themselves for a cup final, knowing that the manager is gone now, and they're obviously having to get used to perhaps a new setup, new regime, new tactics?
Yeah, it depends on the players. It depends on, and I've been there myself. Some players will get encouragement from the decision, and some players will be upset by the decision. So it's purely down to each player individually on their thoughts on what happened. But the one thing which happens a lot of times is when a manager leaves the club or gets sacked, someone comes in and a lot of the time you get a good reaction to them.
Thanks, Wayne. I'll pass on. Thank you.
Thank you.
You said the decision by Spurs to sack your old manager Jose Mourinho today was crazy. Why is it crazy?
I just think before a cup final, it's Mourinho is a manager who, which is quite clear to see, loves winning trophies. He's won a lot of trophies throughout his career. I think if there was one manager to set a team up to play against Man City in a cup final, it's Jose Mourinho. Now, obviously, Tottenham haven't had the best of seasons, so I think from that point of view, I think it is a bit crazy and it's a massive risk. And I'm sure, as I said before, Daniel Levy maybe could have waited till the day after the game, because I think that would have made more sense if they wanted to get rid of Mourinho.
Do you think we'll see him manage in England again? I mean, he's managed United, Chelsea, a couple of times Spurs. I mean, it's hard to see where else he would manage in the Premier League.
I don't know. I'm sure there's a lot of teams in England who would love to see him managing their clubs. So that's purely up to him if he wants to go into another club in England. And I'm sure there's a lot of clubs around the world who would love to have him.
Well, the big topic today is the European Super League. What's your initial thoughts on what you've read and what you've seen and what you've heard this morning about the big 6 clubs in this country, including your old club United, signing up and wanting this to happen?
I couldn't tell you who the top 6 clubs are in this country. I think there's many teams fighting to get in the top 4. So I think that's the first point. But in terms of everything I've seen yesterday and this morning, it's strange timing. I think it's a strange situation to come out, but I'm sure there's reasons for that. I think the best thing to do is to wait to see which information comes out and on how it's actually going to work, if that's the case, because the people in charge of these clubs are not stupid. The only thing I hope comes from it looks like it probably will happen. The only thing I hope comes from it is the English pyramid is protected and rewarded in some way in order to allow these clubs to go and do what they plan on doing.
It'll be to the detriment, won't it, Wayne, of the Premier League? I mean, what's the point in teams trying to win the Premier League in terms of the big 6 when actually their sole ambition really will now be this European Super League on a Tuesday or a Wednesday night?
Yeah, I think that's why I'm curious of what information comes out. I think rather than jump the gun, I think we should wait to see what information comes out, because I'm sure the Premier League will always be a priority for clubs, but we have to wait to see which information comes out, and then and only then will I really give my true feelings on it.
Okay, and finally, on this one, players, it's been said by FIFA, might be stopped from playing international football. Nobody represented England more than you, nobody scored more goals for England than you. That meant a lot to play for your country. Do you think players would want to have a word with their bosses and say, listen, I'm not sure that I want to give up playing for my country, which is still the pinnacle of any football, surely.
So why would they give up playing for the country? Sorry,
Because
I missed
FIFA
that.
and UEFA are against this European Super League, and they're saying, right, if you play in that, you can't play in our competitions.
Yeah, well, I think that's another one where we have to wait to see where that goes. I know I certainly wouldn't give up playing for my country. I'm hugely honoured in playing for my country. So, but listen, I think there's going to be a lot of comments, a lot of anger, a lot of frustration with everything what's come out. But I think what's important is we see actually what does come out and what gets released, because it might be a lot of wasted words until we see where it goes. Yeah, no, listen, I completely understand the frustration from everyone who's come out and had their opinions on it, but I think what's important is we see what it is. I don't know the full details of it. I'm sure not many people do, other than the clubs who are speaking about it. It might be some good which comes from it, I don't know. But I completely understand the frustration. I think if they totally break away from the Premier League, from the domestic cup competitions in England, I don't think that would be a great look. But what I'm saying is, let's just wait. Let's see what information comes out on it.
On a broader note, do you think money, the way money's flowed through the game in the last, the years I've been supporting, has been overall good for football in the end? Because that's what people are questioning now, is the role of money in the game overall.
Yeah, I think obviously it's quite clear there's a lot of money in football. The same way there's a lot of money in golf, there's a lot of money in Formula 1, a lot of money in tennis. So there's a lot of money in, the money has grown in every sport, in the majority of sports. We've seen now in women's football, they're putting more money into it. So I think that's a way of the world's gone. That's the way entertainment has gone, and we have to live in them times. Now, how that money gets distributed is a different matter, and I think most importantly, the protection of the Premier League and the English pyramid is the most important thing. So I'm sure whatever the discussions these clubs have been having, they will be taking that into consideration.
As a young player, there was some suggestion that some younger players, if they wanted to play for their country, etc., wouldn't necessarily be interested. Would you, as a younger player in your prime, kind of be interested in playing at Super League level like that? It's a lot of money.
Yeah, but I think what you have to look at is the history of English football. And as I said before, I'm sure all this is getting discussed. If this is something on top of what we've got, on top of the competitions the teams are playing in, then that's a decision for them clubs to take. If it's something which is going to help non-league football, League One, League Two, Championship, other Premier League clubs, that's something I'm sure they're discussing. So I think we have to wait to see where it goes. We've actually almost played in the competition which they're talking about in pre-season. We played in the Champions Cup, which it had Manchester United, Manchester City, Tottenham, Liverpool, Arsenal, Real Madrid, Barcelona, Inter Milan, Bayern Munich. It had all these teams in it. So I'm sure they're looking on expanding that, and it seems like what they're looking on doing is taking that away from the pre-season and doing it during the season, which that's something which we have to wait to see what comes from them.
Looking at some of the fans' reaction, not only just from other clubs, but also the big six that are potentially involved in the Super League, it looks like they're just thinking it's got to the point now where these clubs just don't care about the fans anymore. They are at the heart of the game after all, and that it's about global TV revenue and sponsorship revenue by the owners, and they've kind of given up on the fans. They don't need them anymore. Do you have any view on that at all?
Listen, I can speak not on behalf, but I can speak of working at Manchester United for such a long time. That's the last thing Manchester United would try and jeopardise, is the relationship with the fans. I know that for a fact. I know everything that they will be looking at is from a point of view which will help the club move forward, but also help the fans stay involved. So, but I can't speak on for the other clubs. But listen, I think let's just wait and see what information comes out. Whether it's good news, whether it's bad news, I think we can all have a clearer opinion on the situation then.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good luck.